Hi everyone, Pastor Tim here at Calvary Church here in Pueblo, and this is the sermon recap, rewind, bonus features from the sermon we had this past Sunday on February 28th, 2021. And we are in the series on the book of Judges, and we were in chapter 5 last week. And chapter 5 is that beautiful reciting song that Deborah introduced to the congregation of Israel based on what happened in chapter 4. So chapter 4 is the historical account, and chapter 5 is the song that came out of that historical account. And as we worked through that song, one of the main emphasis that came out of the message was this idea of worship and praise. Worship being our bragging about God, and our praise being thanking God. Not just in song, but our entire life is worship and praise. And that idea of bragging on God and thanking God should be at the heart of our conversations. So let me give you a quick little illustration here. If we kind of met face to face for the first time, we introduced ourselves, and probably one of the first conversations that people have is, how's the weather, how's the sports, how's work, how's family, and we kind of answer and ask all those little basic questions, and we get to know each other. If the second time we got together and we met each other and we had that exact same conversation, maybe it's just a matter of trying to refresh our connection. But if the third time we got together and we repeated the same thing, or the fourth time, or the fifth time, or 100 times, we had exactly the same conversation where we talked about who we are, what we do. And the 101st conversation we had was exactly the same conversation. We would come to the conclusion that we really don't have a relationship. In fact, we don't have any relationship whatsoever. We're just recounting exactly the same thing over and over and over again. And we would say that relationship is not alive. That relationship is not fruitful. It's not truly a relationship. See, the same thing can happen in our relationship with God when it comes to singing in worship and praise. If we are just saying and reciting the same thing over and over and over again, not just 100 times, but for years on end, it almost feels as if then the liveliness of that relationship isn't there. And so I want to kind of bonus feature with something out of Psalm 40. Now, those of you that know me know that Psalm 40 is one of my favorite psalms. The entirety of that psalm is amazing. But listen to just a few of these verses in Psalm 40, and then we're going to make that application to us again from the message of what has God done in our lives that is worth bragging about. What has God done in our lives that's worth bragging about? So starting in verse 5, the psalmist says, this is David speaking, saying, "May the Lord my God, many are the wonders you have done, the things you have planned for us. None can compare with you. Were I to speak and tell of your deeds, they would be too many to declare." When was the last time we were just overwhelmed with all of the mighty deeds God has done, that praise and thanksgiving, that we couldn't run out of things to tell God how awesome he's at, how awesome he's involved himself in our lives, how wonderful he's engaged with us? When was the last time that we ran out of things to tell God he's awesome at? That's what David's getting at. He goes, when you really think about the many wonders of God and his involvement in my life in particular, I can't run out of things to say. That is the freshness, the liveliness of what worship and praise, singing, and our conversations to God, even in prayer, should be. If it's the same prayer over and over and over again, I would begin to wonder, am I just reciting this out of tradition, or am I reciting this out of an amazing passion for what God has done in my life today? And that's what Deborah introduced to the nation of Israel. Here is the recounting of one of God's mighty deeds, here and now. You need to learn it, sing it, praise God for it, and worship God for it. Same should be true in our lives. And even further on in this chapter 40, David says, "Sacrifice and offering you did not desire, but my ears you have opened. burnt offering and sin offering you did not require. Then I said, here I am, I have come, it is written about me in the scroll. I desire to do your will, my God, your laws within my heart. Now listen to this. I proclaim your saving acts in the great assembly, and I do not seal my lips, Lord, as you know. I do not hide your righteousness in my heart. I speak of your faithfulness and your saving help. I do not conceal your love and your faithfulness from the great assembly. David says, when it comes to gathering together with God's people, there is not a moment in which I can be silent about the saving acts you've performed in my life. That's the heart of worship that Deborah is talking about in Judges chapter 5. Can I connect with God and his people in such a way that I brag about what God is doing in my life today? That is a wonderful exercise for us to engage in every day, not just through Judges chapter 5, but what can I brag about that God has done? What can I brag about how God has revealed himself? How can I thank him? How can I show him that my understanding and my connection with him is real and alive and current? That's a great spiritual discipline. How can I brag about God? And that is a beautiful summary of what we looked at last Sunday. If you have not seen that message, if you've not praised and worshiped with the songs that we sang, go back to our website, check out that video, watch it, and see your heart be enlivened and lifted up with the greatness of God for our day today. Until next week, bye.